Hello and welcome to It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. This is a podcast for business leaders and business owners just like you. We're going to be sharing top tips on how to develop yourself personally and professionally. I'm going to be sharing updated podcasts on a regular basis, so please do make sure you subscribe, and I really hope you enjoy today's podcast. Cassandra Andrews is a therapeutic coach, speaker, and author of the best-selling book, Unlearning Masculinity, Redefining Success for High-Achieving Men Over 40. She works with high-performing men who look successful on the outside, but privately feel stuck, disconnected, or trapped. Blending practical psychology, neuroscience, and deep coaching, she helps clients find clarity, purpose, and emotional freedom. Her clients include FTSE 100 CEOs, entrepreneurs, elite sports professionals, Harvard academics, and founders of multi-million-pound businesses. It's incredible. At the heart of her work is a simple aim: to help men create the life they actually want, not the one they think they should want. I love that introduction. Brilliant. There's so much in there to unpack. So you work with men who look successful but may feel stuck or disconnected. What's the most common mask high-achieving men are wearing, and what's it usually hiding?
Let's just get stuck in, shall we?
Yeah, go straight in. Crack on. Let's go.
Well, I think, Pete, there are so many masks that men wear. But if I think about all the clients I've seen in the coaching room, probably the one thing they have in common is the mask of responsibility. And
that resonates. Yep.
And I would actually say burden of responsibility for so many of them. And so how that shows up is societal conditioning that they need to be the provider. So I work with men over 40. Mm-hmm. I believe that, so I'm 49. I believe that men of our generation have been brought up to be stoic and to be strong and to provide and to be tough and to pull yourself together and don't cry and all of this rubbish that now is causing a generation of men that have repressed it all or suppressed it and are now facing this mask of burden of responsibility. So appear fine on the outside, but inside struggling. And the responsibility might be for their employees, or could be for their family, which actually leads to one of the key problems that I see in men and that's feeling trapped.
Sure. Wow, all of that really resonated with me. Thank you, Cassandra. So I knew that I might end up getting coached today. That's okay.
I'll try really hard not to.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. It's kind of funny. I guess I'm kind of signaling by going, I think I'm going to get coached today. I'm kind of going, please don't coach me. But I know I'm going to end up getting coached, and I know I'm okay with that. So it's all good. You have permission.
Well, I have been coached by you as well, Pete.
Well, this is true. This is true. This is what happens when you get two coaches in a room, isn't it? So I'm just going to go off script because I prepped some questions and then I'm just going to go off script.
Yeah, sure.
Why? A couple of questions around masculinity itself. So I suppose why and then what is masculinity? So why masculinity for you?
Why do I work with men?
Yeah.
A few reasons. I have had a lot of men in my life that have been in what I would call emotional pain, who've struggled for whatever reason, from real men that I love, and it's painful to watch.
Sure.
And so the reason I started thinking about coaching men was my business before, sort of specialising in men. I'm not sure if I should say that.
I get what you're saying. It's all good.
Was around motivation.
Sure.
And so I'd sit with lots of men, CEOs, who tend to be male.
Yep.
And suddenly we'd be going off topic, and I'd be speaking to them about what's going on in their life. So I just kept learning all of these things and wanting to help them, and grateful that I could provide a space for them.
Sure.
And I heard a study, which I mentioned in the book actually, which was really the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And that was Science Magazine did this study where they got a load of men and women in a room, and they said, right, we want you to be alone with your thoughts for 15 minutes.
Ooh.
I can see which camp you're going to be in.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you can take a small electric shock.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, 13% of women said, we'll take the shock.
Yeah.
Over 2/3 of men said they would rather have a shock than be alone with their thoughts for only 15 minutes.
Wow.
And as I sat listening to this study, I just thought, these are the men that I love, I care about, that I see in my business, and I just want to help them.
Sure.
And then that was compounded by some evidence that I'd discovered around the links with repressed emotion and Alzheimer's. And my stepdad, who died recently, had advanced Alzheimer's.
Okay.
And it's not something you would wish on anybody.
Sure.
And it's just awful. And I thought, if I can just help one man,
Sure.
then that's job done for me.
Sure.
Because we need to get men talking.
Sure. I'm sure you're helping countless men though.
Well,
So-
I hope so.
Yeah. How successful is the book then?
Amazon #1 bestseller.
That's amazing.
But I know those things are important for business.
Sure.
It's when somebody, so I was at a networking event, I don't know, a few months ago,
Sure.
and somebody that I know came up to me and they said, oh, I bumped into somebody the other day and they'd read your book.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know this person at all.
Sure. Yeah.
Which was in itself like, oh my God, it's like somebody's actually like bought the book I haven't given it to, which was, like exciting in itself. And then they said, and he told me it's changed his life.
Oh, amazing.
And I just thought, like, that's why I wrote it.
Yeah, tick. Yeah.
I just wrote it, So I live in North Norfolk. I've got a beach hut, and I wrote most of it in the beach hut. And when I was sat in the cold, writing, that's what I wanted to happen.
Sure.
And I hope that it will help more than one man. But the fact that it's already helped one man that I don't know about, like,
Amazing.
amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
amazing.
so grateful.
Amazing. That's really good. I'm worried that your Earl Grey's getting cold. Do you want to have a sip of it?
Okay,
Shall I talk for a minute whilst you have a little sip? You can like swing the microphone out, have a little sip. I want you to be super comfortable. So apologies. Like I feel like otherwise I just keep throwing questions at you and you won't get to chill out. Particularly having I was conscious that you've had a 2.5 hour drive all the way from Norfolk.
You're
Norfolk,
worth it, Pete.
all the way over here.
And it's about spreading the message, right?
Of course,
that's what's so important to me. The more people I can talk to that aren't necessarily in my audience
Sure.
about the importance of shining a light on and for men, then I'm just grateful.
Sure. I think my second question, so I asked why masculinity, and then I was going to ask what masculinity, but the question I'd prepared was, your book is called Unlearning Masculinity. What exactly are men unlearning, and who taught them those rules in the first place?
Mm. So we've touched on this a little.
Sure.
For me, men are unlearning the idea that they have to be strong and stoic and provide all of this conditioning that they were brought up with. Now, this isn't about blame of the generation before, because they were brought up like that because that's how their parents were brought up, and their parents. So I understand it, and it's all parents are doing the best job they possibly can with what they've got available to them at the time. I truly believe that. That's what I believe for all of us. But it doesn't mean it needs to continue. And I think it's so important that actually we start to get more self-awareness. And I hope that's what my book will give men.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So with just having a moment to think about the next question. With that self-awareness that you're hoping for men to take away, is it to raise their understanding of the conditioning that they've had over their lifetimes about what they should and shouldn't be and who they should and shouldn't be?
Yeah, we're both practitioners of motivational maps. I'm sure many of your listeners have heard you talk about motivational maps. And I believe that so many of my clients, some of their kind of key drivers or values that would be at the top of their motivational map is around freedom. And so for me, that's about, well, okay, well, you've got agency on your life. Read the book, do something with it, don't do something with it. I don't care. It's up to you. What I want to do is give you some agency that actually there is another way to be. You
Sure.
don't have to live the life that you thought you should live.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I'm sure it served you up until now and it's got you to the role that you're in or created the business that you're in. And it could be something different as well for the next chapter.
Sure. I think that's really, really fascinating. I'm reflecting on my relationship with my lad and some of the relationship I've had with my dad as well. And it's just interesting how things are evolving over time with the way I'm, I suppose, parenting him around what is expected and isn't expected, which is probably interesting.
How old is he?
Roman is 14.
Okay, so interesting age.
Yes, yeah, he is. Yeah. So I've gone from being daddy to dad to bruh, basically. So yeah, just bruh, and I just take the moments when he wants to have a chat, which is really, really nice. So a lot of the time we'll travel in the car and he'll just not want to chat at all. It's just at that age. But then normally we're going to football or something like that, and the energy's changed by the time we're coming back. And then, I had a bit of an argument because my daughter was in the car with me, and she likes her music. She likes heavy metal, so she's wanted to play heavy metal, and I'm going, stop. He's chatting. I want to listen. I want to listen to him chatting. And she was getting really frustrated. She was like, oh, I'll have to put my earphones in then. I was like, yeah, okay. And then we're just chatting away. So
that's lovely, and how wonderful that you're showing both your children through the work that you've done on yourself and continue to do, like how to be and show up. I've got a client at the moment that isn't my sort of demographic client. He's in his 30s.
Oh, okay.
And having a baby, and he's got quite a lot of stuff that he wants to release from his past, so
Sure.
he doesn't pass it on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have so much awe and
That's incredible.
kudos
Yeah.
for somebody that is so emotionally intelligent.
Mm.
They want to really create the best possible life for their child.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That is incredible. That's really incredible. So my next question was, you talk about the man sitting in his office on a Tuesday, it's Monday today, but on a Tuesday, wondering why success feels hollow. What's going on? What's actually going on psychologically in that moment for that man?
Well, I think it really is about values misalignment. And as I sort of mentioned earlier, the things that were important to us when we were, 20, 30, probably going to be different when we're 50, 60. And that's not right or wrong. It's different.
Mm.
And so I think we all get to different stages in life and we think, well, is this it?
Mm-hmm.
Is this what it's about? I know I've had those moments. You're smiling.
I've had plenty. I've had plenty.
And so I just think that then means that our values aren't congruent anymore in terms of with what we want.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when it becomes, I think, tricky sometimes for guys, because how often do we actually ask, well, what do I want? Like, what do I really want? And to take a beat
Mm-hmm.
and like go internal and just listen, as opposed to all of the noise
Mm-hmm.
and performance and comparison
Mm-hmm.
that we're bombarded with all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also, you know, I'm not just talking about societally or social media or whatever. I'm actually talking about parents,
Mm-hmm.
wife,
Mm-hmm.
brothers, like
Mm-hmm.
people that actually, whose opinion actually is really important to us.
Sure.
And what do we want?
Mm.
And I, you know, I would really encourage your listeners right now
Mm-hmm.
to press pause, but make sure you press play again.
Yeah.
To press pause and really like tune into that,
Yeah, sure.
because it's so important.
Well, spend that 15 minutes with your thoughts that 2/3 of you
Yes.
won't want to actually be doing.
Yeah, like, and what difference could that make?
Yeah. Sure.
I just think that the time that we have on Earth is just so short.
Mm-hmm.
We really should be living we really must be living
Nice. Like that.
an extraordinary life, like the life that we want. It's important. And
Yeah.
also, you know, we've just talked about your kids. It's important to show that to your children.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. It was really interesting what you did there around saying the word should and then rewording yourself. Tell me what is that? What does should mean?
Well, my favorite quote is by Tony Robbins, and he says that we are all shoulding all over ourselves.
Shoulding all over ourselves. I love that.
And I just love it because it's just so true, right? We all, not all of us, but most of us have times in our life where we think that we should do something. And there's certainly no commitment in the word should.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, usually it's coming from a place of somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I love language and listening to like what I'm the stories I'm telling myself as I speak
Sure.
out loud. And I think, well, when I catch should, I think, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Same with my clients.
Yeah. So yeah, should is always a funny one, isn't it? Somewhere under there's a limiting belief of some description.
Yeah.
Or a challenge. And I have a lot of tries with my clients as well.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I'm trying. And I actually, I'm going to give credit to Nigel Risner, who was a guest speaker at one of my recent mastermind groups. And I've not seen anyone frame trying quite so well. Have you seen how he physically does it? So you're kinesthetic as well.
Yes.
So tell me something you try to do. Is there anything you try to do?
Lots. I try to move every day.
Okay, cool. And so when he hears the word try, he then goes, right, I'd like you to put your right hand out. Have you seen this? Put your right hand out, because it's kinesthetics. Put your right hand out. Okay, cool. And what I'd like you to do is try to raise it. No, you raised it. Try to raise it. Quite a nice little kinesthetic thing that he did. So for those of you listening, Cassandra put her hand up and actually raised her hand rather than trying to raise her hand.
Yeah.
Or the old Yoda one of do or do not do. There is no try, right?
Yeah. So the phrase, when I catch myself saying try, and what I encourage my clients to do is to say, well, I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or find some other vernacular that it isn't try, because try means we're just like we're not committed.
Absolutely.
Must is a good word.
Yeah. Must, yeah, I like must. And it's so you are right. I really enjoy language as well. I think it must be part of doing the NLP prac and master prac that we end up really, I suppose, listening to people on a different level, I suppose, to what is more common. And picking up language traits around the things that are actually going on with people.
So going back to the previous question of, well, what do I want? I had this client once, and he was trying to exit a really big business. He's a CEO. And he sat in my coaching room, and I didn't say anything pretty much for like almost half an hour, and he was just talking and talking and talking.
Mm-hmm.
he didn't know what the next step was for him.
Mhm.
And I counted the number of times he said, "But Cassandra, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. But I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what I want." And it was a ridiculous number, like over 30 times.
Mhm.
And I said, "Can I just stop you for a moment? I'm not surprised that you don't know what you want, because you're telling your brain, I don't know what I want." So your brain is making sure that you don't know what you want, because your brain takes everything as reality.
Sure.
And he just kind of looked at me and he was like, "Oh," but it's so important that we tune in to the language that we're saying, whether that's internal or external.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just as another more recent example, a chap that I was speaking to was asking about getting the world to stand still for a couple of weeks because he felt like he was 2 weeks behind where he should be, and that was quite an interesting conversation around just relaxing and everything is as it should be.
Yes.
Which is always an interesting change, I suppose, paradigm shift from. It's quite easy to get caught up in the relentlessness of business and being in charge and making decisions and setting targets and goals and not quite meeting those goals and realizing that actually it's just this unending. The business is just an unending movement of things that happen from a day-to-day perspective, and that actually, you may have hoped to have achieved certain things, but actually maybe our expectations are often very high.
Yeah, in this like push culture that we have. I think it might be a Buddhist phrase, but I love the phrase, "Be where your feet are."
Oh, I like that. Yes, I like that a lot. I'm very much here, so I'm enjoying it. My next question, we talked about, so in the preparation you mentioned about a particularly emotional time for you when you were made redundant, and there was a moment where your mentor closed the production line for you. Where were you working? What was it you were doing?
So they didn't close it, but she said to me, they feel so much for you, they would shut that line down to support you if you want them to. And I was working in FMCG, and I just remember being really shocked that I had that much influence. Doesn't sound like the right word, but that they had that much compassion for me. And it was a job that I really loved. And the thing about that and what it said to me was, and it's the Maya Angelou quote, people don't remember what you said or what you did. They do remember how you made them feel.
Sure.
And I try to live that every day.
Sure.
With my interactions with people, whether it's people I love and care about, or clients or peers or other people in my network. I think it's so important, and I think if as a leader you can tune in to how you're making somebody feel and actually understand their world, then that is an amazing place to be. And wow, like what a leader. And to go back to motivational maps, one of the things that I truly believe is, don't treat people how you want to be treated, treat people how they want to be treated. And if you can understand like somebody's map of the world and what's important to them, and then talk to them and behave in that way, because after all, our two human needs are to be loved and to be enough.
Sure.
And so it's working out from their motivational map, well, how do I make them feel loved and enough? And, significance is something that's really important. Well, maybe significance for somebody is around being an expert in something. For somebody else, it might be meaning and purpose. But if we can recognize what's important to them,
Mhm.
that will help them feel significant.
Of course. Yes, it's interesting how my question came out, which was you were saying about tuning into how people feel, and in this case, you'd mentioned that you felt really seen. So, and I guess the challenge is I'll have people listening who are leaders, and some super emotionally intelligent, I'm sure, and some probably struggling a little bit with what this means for them, if that makes sense. So, how do leaders help make sure their team is seen without it being soft, performative, paying it lip service, that kind of thing?
So I think some of the things that we've just mentioned, so certainly finding, so I think everything starts with ourself, so self-awareness, which is, the theme of today, I think, self-awareness. And so find different ways to learn more about yourself, I think, because the more you learn about yourself, the more you understand why you show up in the way in which you show up, and why it might be difficult to be more compassionate to some people.
Sure.
So that would definitely be the first thing. And the second thing is, everybody's busy, right? I get it. If you can really understand somebody and what they want, and there's a whole plethora of tools out there to help understand people, then that's amazing, because actually it's a win-win, because you're going to save your time by not having the headache of all of the problems that are being created because you didn't take the time to understand the person. So, the long-term outcome, is amazing. And they are then, if they know that you're committed to them, they're going to take more ownership. So it's like a circular, right?
Yeah, a virtuous circle.
Yes,
Exactly. I love that. In the preparation, we touched on a time when a teacher really upset you. They said that you'd not be a high flyer, which obviously lit something in you. How do you help clients distinguish between ambition that's driven by inspiration and ambition that's driven by wounded pride?
Saying my pride was wounded. It was a bit. Well, I was 12, and I remember my mum getting home from parents' evening and telling me that this teacher thought I'd never be a high flyer.
Yeah. Fuck your teacher, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck your teacher. Sorry.
Yeah. I said that a few times. And another teacher, actually, this has just come to mind, said to me when I was 16 and leaving school, Cassandra will be a late developer.
Ooh.
So again, it's like what I read from both of those statements, I'm not enough now.
Sure. Yeah.
And we've already discussed that one of the human needs is to be enough.
Sure.
And that definitely did something for me. But I think, to answer your question, what was your question?
It's okay. I think, largely speaking, it was around ambition that's driven by inspiration.
Rather than
So, I think maybe the easier thing is to just explain. So, I'll pick up because I'm conscious your tea's going to be so cold and you've not drunk it. Bless you. But it was something I was speaking about recently, which is very much, and I'm sure you'll pick up on this quite happily as well. Push and pull motivation, right? So, essentially, and we all act out of wounded pride one way or another at some point, which is essentially a push motivation. We are pushed because we're unhappy with whatever the situation is, whereas a ambition driven by inspiration is much more of a pull. We're pulled in a certain direction. The question was really, how do you help clients distinguish between ambition that's driven by inspiration and ambition that's driven by wounded pride?
Yes, I definitely think it's about push-pull motivation. And do you know what I think's behind that mission?
Yep.
I think if you have a really meaningful mission and you really know what you want, there is no should. You're feeling really driven towards something. I think that is the difference,
Mhm.
because that's real pull energy as opposed to things feeling. I'm kinesthetic, so I would say something felt very heavy.
Sure.
And when I ever noticed anything feeling heavy,
Mhm.
then I know that I need to step back and get curious about what that heaviness is about.
Mhm.
So I guess for those of your listeners that aren't kinesthetic, I think it is about thinking, have you got should in your life?
Mhm.
Because that's probably push energy as opposed to, you're really being pulled forwards.
Sure.
And I wouldn't underestimate the power of mission.
Yes. Hi, my name's Pete, and I want to thank you for tuning into today's podcast. I'm a coach, speaker, and author. And if you want to take your personal development that bit further, did you know that I offer a mastermind program as well as one-to-one coaching? If you're interested, please do reach out on peterushmer.com. You made me think about one of my clients who I'm trying to help towards creating their mission. And actually what you fed back a minute ago about one of your clients who said, I don't know. Really, really helpful, by the way, because I've really struggled. Look at me taking responsibility for outcomes. My client has really struggled to understand what their long-term vision is. And very, very successful, by the way. Very, very successful. Absolutely fantastic person and individual, and very, very tuned into themselves, but very tuned into the fact that they're dissatisfied with where they are at the moment, but really struggling to understand where the satisfaction is going to be, or where the vision is longer term, because I think there's been a lot that's been taken for granted. And it's just been very focused around growth and more, and this sort of cycle, which I think maybe will resonate with some of the listeners. What would you go about? Like, what sort of questions would you ask to try and unlock that if someone is going, I don't know what my vision is?
What if you did?
That's a very good question.
I think sometimes the simplest questions unlock a different part of your unconscious.
Sure.
And, it's a bit like the what if, what else type questions that if you start saying that to yourself, you start to sort of loosen up your unconscious to see things that perhaps you hadn't seen before.
Sure.
And also, I think sometimes we get a bit stuck with looking so far in the future, because perhaps because we've got should currently in our life, but actually maybe there's some things that we don't want to let go of now. So what you and I in a coaching perspective would term as secondary gain. So actually there is a benefit for me being in this place now and not knowing what the future is. And sometimes when you can work out what that secondary gain is, like the benefit of being in this situation, sometimes that just unlocks everything.
Sure. So what's an example of a secondary gain, for example?
Let's say you're a smoker and consciously and intelligently, you know that it's probably killing you.
Sure.
But you get to hang out with your mates and you always, smoke outside the pub, and it's the time that you get together without your wives, maybe,
Sure. Yeah,
So there is a gain of sense of belonging, camaraderie that you don't want to let go of if you stop smoking.
So could a secondary gain be around avoiding having to deal with negative emotions, or avoiding having to deal with our own challenges? Would that be a secondary gain?
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps your client knows that they might need to do something that is uncomfortable. Maybe they're in a marriage they're not happy with. Maybe they aren't happy with part of the business that they know that they probably need to give up or whatever it might be.
Sure.
And it just feels too much.
Sure.
So they get stuck.
Yeah, sure. How do you navigate that, by the way? Because that's a really tricky one. Those sort of long-standing relationships and realizing that potentially they're not serving, or when it becomes apparent that they're not serving your client, but obviously you need to. What's the right way of wording this? I don't know where I'm going, Cassandra. How am I wording this correctly?
You want to help them because you can see there's a better life for them.
Yeah. So yeah.
The thing is, I have lots of people in my life who I know I could help create a better life, but they're not ready.
Sure.
So my phrase is the teacher appears when the student is ready.
Sure.
And it goes back to your need, as you said earlier, to want to help people.
Sure.
When he's ready, he'll let go.
Sure.
But it sounds like he's on a great journey of self-awareness anyway. I guess it just would be interesting to be curious about what's stopping him.
Yeah. Interesting.
And also, sorry, Pete, just thinking about it, we need to have leverage to make change. And usually that, everything we do in life is that we're moving towards pain or pleasure.
Sure.
And most of us want to avoid pain way more than we want to gain pleasure.
Sure.
Do we want to get £100, or do we want to not lose £100? Well, most people would say they don't want to lose £100.
Sure.
So we need leverage, and I know that if I think about key moments in my life, I can think about like the moment I separated from my ex-husband. I just knew that all I could see was pain in the present, pain in the past, pain in the future. And
Sure.
I just thought, no, enough. Like, this has got to stop. And I think most of us are living a life where we're sort of comfortable and okay.
Sure.
And that's nice, but it's not going to be leverage to change.
Sure. Yeah, I understand that. So
you gave me a look then, Pete. Are you comfortable?
I'm very comfortable. So you ran a successful recruitment business before you were a coach.
I did.
And as part of us preparing the questions, you described that you became a victim of that recruitment business's success. What are the early warning signs that achievement is starting to own you rather than serve you?
I think this is such an important question. Well, obviously, there's physical sides of not sleeping, feeling agitated, and having no energy. But psychologically, I think it goes back to values. And I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but I think your values are so important. And when you have misalignment, then it's push energy again. And it's starting to run your life as opposed to waking up feeling energized and rejuvenated and just really wanting to, do nothing but, talk about your mission in life, whatever that might be, whether it's, coaching or selling health food, whatever it might be, like if it's something that you're so passionate about, it's amazing. I love it when I see people that are so passionate about what they do. It's amazing.
Sure. Yeah, I love that too. It's actually quite rare as well, isn't it?
It is.
It's really quite rare.
Because most of us don't ask ourselves what we want.
Yeah, and it was I thought about my son again just then. Interesting. We were talking about his options for GCSE because he's at that time where he's doing options, and we said to him, because Mags, my wife's got a meeting at the school on behalf of him for his options. He's made his options. We were chatting about, is there anything you want to change? You know, he's quite he's challenged by dyslexia, so he's not a big fan. Amazing communicator, not in the written sense, bless him, or reading particularly. But yeah, good at maths, good at science, those kinds of things. And interestingly, we were going through the options with him, and as we said to him, are you 100% sure that's what you want to do? What made you choose to do that? Oh, you guys said it was a good idea. It's like, right, okay. Should we reevaluate that decision? Very useful.
Yeah.
I don't know why my head went to there,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it's so important. Like, so important.
So you experience stress physically, sickness and shoulder pain. For high performers who are listening, what are the subtle physical signs they might be ignoring that signal deeper emotional strain?
So this is probably the question where some people don't want to listen to what I'm going to say, and that is that your body is always giving you signs.
Sure.
And they start off quietly, and they get louder and louder until they whack you over the head.
Sure.
And so often we choose not to listen.
Sure.
All of us. What if you did listen? Is all I would say, because we all have emotional energy that gets trapped inside us, and I truly believe, because I have experienced it myself and seen it with so many clients where they've had sore shoulder, sore lower back, problems with their gut, and we've done work to help release some of that emotion, and it has got better after years of, and I'm talking about chronic pain. I'm not talking about, you injured yourself on the rugby pitch, so nothing acute, but long-term chronic pain. Well, the question is, why is it there? Like, let's just get curious. And so I think, to answer your question, if any of your listeners have got something that's been going on for a while, maybe it's about understanding what's going on. I would suggest a really good place to start is journaling, which, again, many people don't want to listen to. And I get so many people saying, oh, I can't journal. I'm not a journaler. I can't do it. And I'm not
a journalist.
There you go.
I'm not a journalist.
And I always say to them, yeah, but what if you could?
Yeah.
And I've got men journaling that were adamant that there was no way on earth they were a journaler. So I feel so passionate about this, actually, that I've written a guide called the Guide to Journaling for Men That Would Rather Do Anything But.
Oh, I like it.
So if any of your listeners want it, it's totally free. It's on my website. They can just download it. And there's also an audio version as well, if you're that way inclined.
If you send me a link, I will put it in the show notes.
Thank you.
And it'll be in the show notes. There'll be a link to Cassandra's book, and there'll be a link to the guide as well for journaling. I love that.
It's because it's so important. And I think it's one of the first steps, actually, to getting the stuff in your head out.
Sure.
So if you can do that, you don't need to do anything with it. Yeah. You can just write it and leave it, like burn it, whatever you want, if you're worried somebody's going to read it. But it's important because it stops the rumination.
Sure.
And it can really help with understanding where you've got patterns which might be leading to something physical, for example.
Sure, yeah. Really, my head's gone to a couple of places as you were saying that. So I've had like a small groin strain for a little while since last summer, and which is quite a while now. And I've been becoming more consciously aware that it's not recovered. Yeah. I did it. I know when I did it. I did it during a fitness event that I was doing, and I overstretched. But interestingly, I've continued to train, and it's continued to be quite painful. And I'm starting to wonder with as a timeline master practitioner, I'm starting to wonder whether there's anything tied up in there. So,
Well, I guess my first question would be, what else was happening at the time in your life
yeah,
when that happened? Because of course we get physical injuries, but we get physical injuries because we've got inflammation and weakness.
sure.
So, what is going on there? And Pete, you probably know, I don't know if your listeners know, we hold a lot of emotion in our hips and groin.
Mm. Sure. And I have the tightest hips.
Well,
really, really bad tight
I don't
hips.
think I need to say anything.
Yeah, really tight, bad hips. In fact, Florian, my physio, will be laughing because he's forever having to reposition them and whatever.
I'm sure he doesn't want to hear this, but maybe it's not about having physio.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about having some more timeline therapy.
Maybe.
Or journaling.
So I've avoided journaling. Well, so I journal.
Okay, so let's have this conversation then for your listeners. So tell me why you avoid journaling.
So I do journal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I do journal, and historically how I've journaled is I've used the 5 Fs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I go with what am I fearing?
Mm-hmm.
Let go a bit of fear of what's going on. I then ask if I need to forgive anybody, because that's usually where my angers come from. So I do fearing, forgive, feeling. What am I feeling? I also do what am I thankful for, which is obviously not F, but it works with the 5 Fs. Thankful, and then what my future is. So a little bit of journaling in that sense, just to get some ideas out. But I started last year. I read the Daily Stoic every day, which I love. And this year I got the Daily Dad, which is really, really lovely. I highly recommend that. So that's been helping me be a much better parent for sure. And then I got the Daily Stoic Journal, which asks questions each day for me to reflect on. So it's slightly different to the journaling that I've historically done, because I'm answering a specific question. And just out of time, I've not been journaling, but it's very interesting because I probably ought to go back to my 5 Fs. Or maybe I should read your book. Maybe I've been doing it wrong. Maybe I should read your guidance. And
okay. Is it really about time?
That's a really good question. Is it really about time? I think the story I've told myself is it's about time. The reality is there's probably some stuff that I've not wanted to face up to.
And that's why most of us don't journal. The problem is what you resist persists. So it's always going to be there unless you do something about it. And for you, perhaps in your groin. Yeah.
Thank you.
But just on that, I think there are so many different types.
Said I was going to get coached. Didn't I?
I think there are so many different types of journaling. Guided, free flowing, stream of consciousness, whatever. And I think all of it is brilliant because they're all helping us get self-awareness in a different way. I really like guided journaling. I do think, though, the power of just having a stream of consciousness of what's in your head, getting that onto paper, is so freeing. And I really use that word freeing. The other thing is like trying to encouraging all of your family to do it, so it becomes like a practice that you do, or doing it where your kids can see you journaling, so it becomes like normalized. I think that's really powerful for parents, without doubt.
I like that. Not thought about it before. Put your oars up.
Yes.
I love this metaphor. For a driven Type A founder, Type A is hard driving, very proactive type founder, who a lot of founders are that way, to be fair, who's built everything through force and effort. What does putting your oars up practically look like on a Monday morning?
So this was a phrase that I started saying during lockdown, actually. When I really was finding it hard. I lived by myself for the first time ever. And so one of my deepest fears was being old and alone.
Okay.
And suddenly I'm alone for weeks on end. And it was really challenging.
Sure.
And so I really had to believe that everything was happening for a reason. Life was happening for me, not to me. So what I mean by the phrase oars up, which coincidentally is what my beach hut's called, is it's about surrender, that know that life is happening to you for a reason. It's just that so often we can't see it because it's not happening at the speed of which we want it.
Sure.
So it's about having sort of faith and trust in something bigger, whatever that might be for you. Now, that's not saying to not have goals and to not be purposeful. It's saying have your goal, your vision, etc., but don't get attached to the outcome, because it's when you get attached to the outcome, the life suddenly becomes really narrow, and you don't necessarily see all of these other options that are actually available and could happen for you if you're so fixed on this one thing, getting to this place, getting that car, whatever it might be. Well, actually, what else is available?
Sure.
So have the goal or vision, but then put your oars up.
Nice.
And it's a phrase I use a lot with my clients. I even got one of my clients like a wooden sign that said "oars up" for him to put in his garden on something.
I like that.
Something that was particularly challenging for him. And I just love it when people say, "Oh, I really put my oars up in that moment." Now, I'm human. I don't have my oars up all the time. But when I find myself controlling, I think, okay, what would happen if I put my oars up now?
It's it's really interesting. I've been a bit conflicted because one of the things I've been doing as well is for my birthday I got given Stephen Bartlett's 1% Diary.
Oh yeah.
Have you come across it?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So I came across it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, to be fair. So there's 3 really clear goals that you work on over 90 days, which I've been working on, and it's really, really interesting because I like the philosophy of oars up, and it's anything but. The process is anything but. So every day is focused around what am I doing to achieve these 3 goals today, and interestingly, I reflected yesterday because on a Sunday you kind of reflect and set your next set of actions that you're going to take for the following week. And I sat there looking at it and I was like, not sure I'm doing this because I've had loads of successes last week, but not strictly aligned with any of these 3 goals. And they become almost null and void, which is really aligns with what you're saying there. So I was very close to putting it in the bin. I was really, which is very unlike me to just go, I'm not going to do this anymore.
But perhaps it's just not the way for you. Perhaps it's the task that you want, that you'd written. Maybe there was a bit of should in there, or thinking that that you should, as opposed to actually what you really wanted to do, which is actually where you got the results. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? So I've got the book, and I've had it for ages, but I haven't read it.
Okay. Yeah. And
I don't know why.
Sure.
He's written a couple, hasn't he?
So I really enjoyed Happy Sexy Millionaire.
Yeah.
I think I've read The Diary of a CEO, which is then about a lot of the conversations he's had on the podcast. But yeah, the 1% Diary is one where you essentially just fill it out, right?
Yeah.
It's essentially like a journal, but it's very structured. It's very, I shall do this action today that's linked to that outcome. And it's very, almost like the outcomes are, it's very focused on the outcome.
I think it's really important to have a vision of where you're trying to get to. I think that's fundamental for life, because otherwise your brain doesn't know what to do, and that's when you get stuck. There's another reason why we get stuck. So I think, what do I want, and being really clear and specific about what I want, and surrendering to there could be something better. So it's like I want this and more.
Yeah.
It's it's just being a little bit more expansive, I guess.
Of course, yeah.
But it is important, I think, to have goals every week or whatever. I think that's a really good thing. So I don't think you need to kick yourself for that.
So emotional literacy and leadership. You say technical skill is no longer enough. If a leader wanted to improve their emotional literacy this year, what's the first uncomfortable step you think they should take?
Journaling. Simple. I think self-awareness, and I think one of the quickest ways for self-awareness is journaling.
Okay. So follow the link on the show notes and give it a go.
Yeah. And don't take it seriously. Play with it. Like, it doesn't need to be heavy. Sure. Like, just see what happens.
But we're men, we don't play.
What if you did? Do you know? Yeah. I think we could probably do with some more playfulness in our life, right?
Sure.
Especially like, I'm sure many of your listeners who are striving and performing. I once got a client who was in that place. I said to him, I want you to go to the beach this weekend with your family and build sandcastles. That's your task.
Nice.
And he looked at me as if I'd gone crazy, I have to say. And I was like, do you trust me? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay, so are you going to commit to doing it? He was like, yeah, okay. And then he texted me with photos.
Oh, nice.
And just
evidence.
Like, yeah. And like, I didn't ask for that. And he was like, oh my God, it was so much fun. And we did this and we had this conversation and we laughed and blah, blah, blah. And you just think, okay, you know, and if you don't know what you consider to be playfulness, well, what did you do when you were 5?
Let it out. Yeah, I love that. You've said the relationship we have with ourselves shapes everything else. If someone listening realised theirs isn't great, negative self-talk, those kinds of things, where do they begin to rebuild that?
Okay. Firstly, with compassion, to perhaps start talking to themselves like they might talk to their best friend, child, wife, whoever. I think that's so important. I think compassion for ourselves is critical. And then self-awareness. It's so much of the relationship we have with ourselves is about understanding ourselves and getting curious. And I would call it an obsession ever since I was a child to understand myself better.
Sure.
I remember being 12 and doing like the quizzes in just 17, you know.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, like, and throughout all of my life, like, I just want to understand myself. You know, I've got a growth mindset. I imagine that every person listening to your podcast has got a growth mindset because, you know, why would they be
preaching
listening
to
otherwise?
The converted, right?
Yeah, completely. So, what happens if you go inwards, get curious, see what's going on?
Yeah, sure.
I promise you that if you do that, life will change. Life will get better. There might, and I'm not saying that there might not be some discomfort along the way. Potentially there might be. There might not be.
Of course. My final question before I move on to the quickfire questions. What's the thing most high-achieving men are afraid to admit out loud?
Okay, I've got 2 things. I know I should be grateful, but
Sure.
I hear that a lot from really highly successful people, which is kind of tied into the second, which is I know it should be enough, but is this really it?
Nice.
And I would say, no, it's not.
No, of course.
You just need to turn inwards.
Yeah, of course. Love that, thank you. I'm going to move on to my quickfire questions.
Okay, let's do it.
So, quickfire questions, which I've not written down, so this is a memory practice for me, and I'm already struggling. I can remember 1 or 2 of them, so let's see how it goes. Hopefully they'll come to my mind as I need them. If you were to give yourself one piece of advice as a young Cassandra, what would it be?
Not to worry what other people are thinking about you, which reminds me of something. I'm probably going to butcher this, but there's a quote that I love, and I tell my clients quite a lot. When you're 20, you care what everyone thinks.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 40, you stop caring what everyone thinks. When you're 60, you realise no one was thinking about you in the first place.
I love that.
It's just like, what a way to live life, right?
Yeah.
Let's take the wisdom of somebody that's 60 into our lives now.
I love that. I love that a lot. 3 tips for success. 3 quickfire tips for success. Actual success, not what we anticipate other people to think is success.
Self-awareness, obviously.
Sure.
Compassion for self and others.
Mm-hmm.
And joy.
Oh, I like that. I love that. Where do you go to develop yourself?
Oh God, where don't I go? So I definitely have a growth mindset. And so I do all sorts of things, whether it's physical or mental or spiritual. We were chatting earlier, I've recently discovered a somatic practice called TRE, which is really incredible. Look it up if you're listening. I read a lot, so I'm a big reader. I got rid of my TV in COVID. And now I just consume podcasts, great ones like yours, Pete.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Podcasts, and I read consistently. I love reading, but always have done. And actually, that was the thing that I loved doing when I was 5. Yeah.
I love that. Very final question. Discipline or motivation? Which is more important and why?
Motivation, absolutely. Because, well, it goes back to push-pull.
Like it.
Yeah. Discipline is not going to last. Motivation will.
Sure. So just checking, you mean discipline is a push,
yes,
and motivation is a pull.
And you have to find out what truly motivates you, not what you think motivates you.
Amazing. And on that bombshell, thank you very much for joining me on today's podcast.
Thank you. It's been fun.
It's been lots of fun. Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. Please do follow Cassandra on LinkedIn. I'll put her LinkedIn profile. I'll put a link to her book and a link to the journaling free link, which we discussed, which will be all in the show notes. So please do go and visit those. Thank you again for joining me.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you for listening. And I'll see you on a future episode. If you've enjoyed it, please do leave a 5-star review. We really do appreciate it. And I want to get away from the 33. I want to get up to 34, 35 5-star reviews. So please do that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on today's It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. We really hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that you took the time to listen, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to ensure that you receive future episodes too. If you want to find out any more, please do search It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast, and you'll find it on your favourite podcast app. Thank you.